Former President Donald Trump is trying to walk back comments he made earlier this week about potentially cutting spending on entitlements like Social Security and Medicare. Here's what Trump said on Monday.
There is a lot you can do in terms of entitlements, in terms of cutting, and in terms of also the theft and the bad management of entitlements, tremendous bad management of entitlements. There's tremendous amounts of things and numbers of things you can do. So I don't, necessarily agree with the statement. I know that they're going to end up weakening Social Security because the country is weak.
After days of backlash following that CNBC interview, Trump is now trying to change his tune. In an interview with the far-right outlet Breitbart, Trump promised he will, quote, never do anything that will jeopardize or hurt Social Security or Medicare. The Biden campaign responded to the cleanup with this statement. Donald Trump tried cutting Social Security and Medicare by billions of dollars every single year he was in office. Then he confirmed Monday he wants to try again if elected. And now his campaign thinks they can trick voters because they tell the Pulitzer winners at Breitbart the opposite. Some snark there from Wilmington. Also, with speculation mounting around who Trump will pick to be his running mate, new reporting reveals that the former president has been informally interviewing potential cabinet members. According to Bloomberg, Trump has discussed the possibility of hedge fund billionaire John Paulson serving as Treasury Secretary in a possible second term. Paulson is a substantial Trump donor, recently hosting a $1 million per person fundraiser for Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Earlier this primary season, Trump mentioned Paulson during a speech as a potential fit at Treasury, saying, quote, he makes a hell of a lot of money. Joining us now, politics editor for Bloomberg, Laura Davison. Good to see you, Laura. So Trump's last Treasury Secretary, Steve Mnuchin, was a former Goldman Sachs executive and extraordinarily wealthy himself, as was his Commerce Secretary, Wilbur Ross. We know that Trump prioritizes money and the people he likes to surround himself. That would certainly, John Paulson wouldn't fit the bill. Tell us more about what we know about Paulson, if that was to be a potential pick, and who else Trump might be looking at for various cabinet posts.
Yeah, so Paulson is a hedge fund manager. He's wealthy. He's worth more than $4 billion and has been a big Trump supporter. He hosted this fundraiser for Trump a couple months ago, hosting another one already on the calendar. So expect to see the people that Trump is looking at are also people who are either attending or hosting and writing big checks for these fundraisers. This is something that Trump is looking closely at. He's also looking at other folks to be Treasury. This is going to be a key post. So other big finance names, Jeff Yass, who's notably a big investor in TikTok, also Scott Bessent, another Wall Street name, and a familiar name from his last administration, Bob Lighthizer, who was the key trade representative for his administration.
And we should note that Trump just met with Yass just before suddenly flipping on whether TikTok should be banned. So let's talk about the Social Security and Medicare issue here. Facts are an inconvenient thing for Donald Trump, as the Biden campaign points out. He did, in fact, try to cut it while in office and suggested again this week that he might. The president's campaign has pounced on it, and Biden himself on the road in the Midwest this week talked about it. Tell us how big of a role this issue will be between now and November.
This is going to play a huge issue. Of course, the majority of voters, are people who are nearing retirement or will be, who are already retired. So Medicare and Social Security, are key, pillars of kind of people's everyday well-being. It's also notable that, Nikki Haley, who was, Donald Trump's opponent in the primary race, and just until a few days ago, she was, had plans to cut Social Security, raise the retirement age. And Donald Trump went after her for that very aggressively. We now see this pivot to the general election where he's saying, oh, well, maybe I might do something with Social Security, with Medicare. And so this is going to be a key tension point and something that Democrats really feel like they have the upper hand on with voters.
So let's talk about Project 2025, which is Trump loyalists' extreme plans to remake the federal government in Trump's image if he were to be reelected. They would slash parts of bureaucracies, staff other parts of the government with pure right-wing ideologues. So talk to us about what we have learned as to what Project 2025 would look like, and what kind of warnings are Democrats sounding?
Yeah, so this is a project that the Heritage Foundation is heading up, and basically it's two parts. Of one, it's a bunch of policy doctrines. So they publish, hundreds, if not thousands, of pages of sort of policy prescriptions for a second Trump White House, as well as started taking in resumes and vetting potential candidates for, Trump's second term if you were to win. Important to note here that the Project 2025 and the Trump campaign don't necessarily get along. They're not necessarily working in lockstep. The Trump campaign has sort of poo-pooed some of these efforts and said, look, they don't work for us. We are going to decide who's in a Trump White House. Trump is famous for, maybe deciding he likes someone and then changing his mind at the last minute. So this is, something that Democrats have sounded the alarm on, saying, look, these are extreme positions. We should be, very closely looking at what this project is. But there's also a lot of both attention between the people who are heading this up, as well as, the Trump campaign, who doesn't like when other people speak for him or make policy decisions for him.
Yeah, certainly real tension there. Also, we should note again that as Trump took over the RNC, they ousted about 60 staffers there. Again, some believed not sufficiently loyal. And as far as Project 2025 goes, that's what so many Democrats point at when they say, look, think about the stakes of the next election. Think about what could change in our country if Trump were to win again. We will certainly be keeping an eye on it. And we appreciate the reporting this morning from Laura Davison, politics editor for Bloomberg. Laura, thank you. We really appreciate it. And thanks.